Goodbye Storm by Andrea Cubis, painted January 1st, 2020. This painting, as you can tell, was done on New Year's Day. A new day, a new year, and a new decade. Anyone who knows me knows that my last year, 2019, was a really tough year for me. You may not have known why it was tough, but you know it was a tough year for me. And I am determined to say goodbye to that tough year. And that is what this painting is about. Right now you'll see I am working in those clouds, which I've been told my storms turn out pretty good. I must have a stormy personality that inspires me or something. But to create this storm, I decided to make it a little more fierce, I think, than my normal storms. I added green in with my grays and blacks just to give it that sense that there could have been danger. But the fact from the title, as I'm sure you can see, I'm saying goodbye to this storm. So even though it could have been brutal, this storm actually is going away and is going to be okay. The water is calming down, the beach settles. So the way how I'm getting that sky, the stormy sky, to come through is I'm taking little bits of black, little bits of white, mixing them together to make those grays, and then every now and then throwing a little green in to get into the highlights of the white. Now you're going to see it's coming up where I get a little overzealous with my green and it gets a bit neon green. Well, guess what? Here's the bonus of acrylic paint. I just painted right back over it because it didn't work for me. One of the things that I find help to make a storm look really good, when you put in your lightning bolt, consider that the lightning reflects light onto the clouds near it. So you need to have two things going on. You need to have the dark clouds so that the lightning bolt shows up, but then you also need to highlight its effect on everything around it. Just like anything with light, there's going to be a reflection coming off of that onto something else, and then that, the second thing, and in this case it's the clouds, is going to give us that light as well. I decided to do 5 lightning bolts. I know, it's quite a storm. Oh, here's that green I was telling you about. See? Whew, look at that green. And boy, it really almost turned the sky into a bunch of trees. Whoops. But yay, acrylic paint, it can get fixed. Anyways, where I was going with the light on those lightning bolts, if you can get little flecks of white on the clouds around it and then fade that out to a darker gray green, you're gonna find that your lightning bolt looks like it has an impression on the things around it and isn't just some random flash in the sky. I decided to do 5 lightning bolts. Originally I was thinking just 4, but you'll see on the left I cheated. There's the main lightning bolt and then there's like a little one right beside it. And a part of that comes from the idea that you should try and work in odd numbers. You'll see usually like flower arrangements, it's 3 major blooms or 5 or 7. Very rarely, you might have something with 2, but you'll very rarely ever get anything with 4. There's the occasional thing. It's not a hard and fast rule, but that's the general idea of it. So I decided to do 5 lightning bolts to really make this storm look like it was a nasty storm, and whew, this beach is saying goodbye to it. I know, can I say that enough times? Goodbye storm. So I know it seems like I'm taking a lot of time to create the sky, but to me the sky is that focus. It's only now that I'm starting to work on that beach. I'm using yellow ochre to start that beach, and then I'm adding in some titanium white And I'm gonna also mix that with some burnt umber to create some shadow within it. I tried a couple things. I got frustrated with some things right there. I was actually lifting the paint right up. I had worked it so much, going back and forth. I really wanted to have the shimmer of those lightning bolts show up on the beach in the reflection. So that's why I kept working it back and forth until it looked right. But you'll see I overworked it and had to dry it before I could keep going. Here's the hair dryer. Thank God for hair dryers. Once that was done, I was able to go back over it again with the yellow ochre and just get it smoothed out a bit more so it looked more gradual between the brights and the shadows, just to give it a smoother look. One of the big things is I wanted this beach to look bright in comparison to that very dark sky. But even in its brightness, you'll see there's my white coming in. I wanted to show the reflection of those lightning bolts, even affecting the beach, not just the clouds around each bolt, but even the sand is going to reflect some of that light back at us. That nothing in this picture was immune from those lightning bolts. Now I'm working on the water. Got to have water if we're at the beach. And yes, I did use a very shaky hand. I was having a hard go of it. So I used that ruler just to make sure that horizon line was nice and sharp. Now the color I'm using is ultramarine blue mixed with Mars black. And I find that helps create that nice nighttime dark water that makes it look like it goes forever away. And then I bring that blue, and you'll see that I lose the black as I get closer to the bottom. And I bring the blue right up over the yellow, and that's to make it look as though the beach goes right into that water, that there isn't really a separation between the beach and the water. Now for the waves that I'm starting to create, what I actually did is I was taking, the paint was still wet, so I took a wet paintbrush and I was actually removing paint as opposed to putting it on, until I got further back, and then I switched over and I put some white on my brush, just a little, not very much, just to create those lines coming through. And then I came back and I did some highlights on the closer waves with the white, but I really wanted to have the yellow come through. There you'll see, the reflection again of those lightning bolts on the water. So those lightning bolts reflect into the clouds, they reflect into the water, and they reflect onto the land. And I think that's how lightning bolts do work. They affect everything around them. And even though they affected that beach is still going to be just fine. The beach will continue to shimmer and shine, but it's also there as a warning that storms do hit this beach every now and then, and the beach will continue. I decided at first I was going to have a fairly calm wave hit that beach, but something about that storm made me feel like there needed to be more splash coming off those waves. So I decided to grab, I have this great brush, it's getting really old and the bristles are all over the place now, but it's nice and tough so I can scrub things in. And I decided to put a little splash on those waves coming in from different angles. I had no real pattern to those waves because to me a storm can really shake things up and make it so that you don't know which way things are coming at you. And if anyone's ever been in a storm out on the water, you know that waves don't come in beautiful lines. They come from all directions. So this is my beautiful painting, or at least I think it's beautiful. I hope you think it's beautiful. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye, storm. And I pray that your beaches are able to weather the storms, good and bad, and still shine.